Guess what, America? We have a presidential election coming up. Are you as excited as me? Not. Let's discuss it. Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Inkley, and I welcome you, America. I guess I don't have to remind you that we have an election coming up, a presidential election. And, I hear that the cost of this election can only be matched by the entire European GDP. Now, that's gross domestic product for you idiots out there. And if you still don't understand, it's a shitload of money. Since I know the election's not, there's not a chance in hell it's going to go my way, I thought I might just put in my 2 bits. I want you to know that my father, my hero, was a Republican his whole life, and he believed in the principles and the values the Republican Party stood for. Now, I've been a Republican for, let's just say, too damn long. About 15 years ago, I started noticing things that really made me start to watch. I don't wonder about these things anymore, America. It's become very clear that these assholes don't practice what they preach. They are, for the most part, as communist thinking as the commie-crats. And that's a Democrat for you idiots out there. But can I speak to the Republican candidates for just a moment? I'd like to give you men and women some advice. And I guess the first thing that I would tell you would be, I don't know exactly how to say this, except, you know what? People are sick and fucking tired of being lied to. And with as pissed off as the American people are with our current, what should we call him, a coward? No, that's not right. Spineless. Would that be a better word? I'll bet that toilet paper there's got more spine than that man ever will. I mean, after all, we spare no expense. It is 3-ply. You know what? I'm going to be nice. I'm sorry. Let's call him this country's #1 worst president in recorded history. But I'll give him the #1 most arrogant president in recorded history. You know what? Let's get back to the Republican candidates again. I don't think it would be wise to piss off the American people anymore. They're about ready to come unleashed on someone, or multiple someones, and you might want to keep this in mind. I'm just saying. And they're also sick and damn tired of you all acting one way at election time, and then not doing what you promised. Or just basically doing whatever the hell you want. I was listening to the Republican debates the other night, and it amazed me how they all sounded like Ronald Reagan Republicans. You know what, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, none of you will ever be as great as Ronald Reagan was. But if one of you do truly believe like Ronald Reagan, I wish you good luck and Godspeed. I wish I knew, then I'd know who to vote for. I guess you can tell I don't claim to be a Republican anymore. I want a party that has the values and the principles the Republican Party used to. I feel like a dumbass deer in the headlight when it comes to this election. In the end, I guess I'll vote for the best man or woman for the country that we'll have to choose from anyway. And will it make a difference? Who the hell knows? You know what? May God bless us all. Now I want to talk to the commie-crats for a minute. Now that's a Democrat for you idiots, just in case you forgot. Do you remember how I was telling your foes, your Republican counterparts, about the American people and how really, really, really upset they are? Guess what? They're all pissed at you. Good job. I'm sorry. America, frankly, let me ask this. With all the negativity, viciousness, and wickedness we see in our elections these days, how do we expect anything positive to come from so much negativity? It doesn't make any damn sense. If all we have to choose from is two buckets of shit, in the end, all we're going to have is just a bucket of shit. And life teaches us that that's a fact. And the candidates from both parties should keep that in mind. And the current resident of the White House, too. You know what pisses me off, America, is you'll get your ass out of bed for this vulgar piece of shit we call Black Friday. You'll stand in line all fucking night if that's what it takes, but you won't take a minute to go out and vote. You'll bend over backwards for a vulgar bucket of shit like Black Friday, but won't take advantage of your constitutional right to go out and vote. What the hell is wrong with us? Please don't misunderstand all my negativity towards this election. You know, you should never take for granted your right to vote. It's one of the most important rights that we enjoy. And just because I'm pissed as hell at this election doesn't ever mean I'd give up my God-given right to vote. And I guess I can only hope and pray that more Americans will start to feel this way. So I guess if you're going to ask me who I'm voting for, I'll be as honest as I can. I don't have a clue, except to say I'll go to the one that never lies to me and the one that never lets me down. I wish you good luck on however you make your choice. So America, let's find something positive in this election. Can I make a suggestion? Teach your children why we vote and why it's so important we don't lose those rights. Teach your children our history. Teach them how we fought for those rights and how we fought for an idea they were calling freedom. Teach your children our history. Teach them this is the greatest country in the world and why that is so. You know, it's so important that you teach your children this history. If they see that you have a love for your country, I promise you they will follow your lead. And it's just too damn important that they do. You know, and frankly, if you're going to rely on the public schools to teach your children this history, well, do you remember those 2 buckets of shit I was talking about earlier in this rant? Do you get my point? You know, it's about time for me to shut up. Look, America, I know it's going to be hard to even want to give a shit about this next election, but I'm still going to ask you, please, to go out and take your opportunity and vote. It is a right and privilege that we should never lose and never take for granted. I want to thank God for my life, for my country, and for the freedoms that I enjoy. I want to thank the armed forces for everything that they do. We can never thank these men and women enough. I ask God to protect all of them. I ask God, please, God bless America. We so need it. I am an American, and I bid you a farewell. Hey America, I'd like to tell you about a brand new Western book. It takes place in the mid-1800s in Yuma, Arizona, and it's well worth the read. You know, the book is called Sweet Justice, and it was written by a very talented new author, and his name is Mark Inkley. You know, if you enjoy Western, an old Western, you'll like this book. You know, let's give it a look. You know, if you want more information, they say that there is a link in the description. So hey, you know, give it a look. America, you're awesome. Thanks so much.